The fucking sad
Shh.
ass.
Everyone can hear you swear. Everyone can hear you swear. Shush. Right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Interim game discussion about the current patch notes that are on the take. I'm joined by Daredevil Dan as well as Sophie. Some of you will know her as an admin for Southern Cross Dota. How's it going, guys? Who else are we adding to our conversation?
Logical scopes here as well.
Hello, hello.
So, the new patch, Dota changing from the current meta to something else that's unexplored. And what do you think about the patch just on the surface in terms of changes?
Um, Honestly, it's probably not the biggest patch we've ever seen in terms of hero changes. It's more on the gameplay. Like, this patch could push it back to the old 2-1-2 meta. Um, I mean, people have been saying that through a lot of patches, especially when 6.75 came out. Everybody thought it would go back to the 2-1-2 lanes, but it didn't. But looking at this patch, um, jungling now with pulling, especially pulling is almost null and void. Even if you pull through like on the Radiant with no stacks, you won't kill the whole wave most likely, um, and you'll just push too much. Having a dedicated jungler is going to be a lot easier, but you will get less experience, which kind of does hurt. But you'll get the gold faster because the creeps are easier to kill now, but they give you less experience. So the only person that really hurts is like late game anti-mage, because obviously anti-mage problems kill the whole jungle in 25 seconds, and then you got nothing to do. But
Hmm. So,
it's pretty weird. Like they're changing a lot of the mechanics, but not a lot of how the game's actually played.
I share some of your. I guess I share some of your comments in that regard. I just want a couple of questions coming up from the channel. Two of them. One of them says, "Do you think Bloodseeker will be picked up more competitively?" The second question is, "What is the significance of the smoke change?" Somebody's unsure as to what the smoke change actually means.
Okay. With the smoke change, basically, when you ran over a sentry ward, um, they could see you on the map, but now with the smoke changes that they can't see you on the map or in the game, you have to be revealed by a hero or a tower. So sentry wards don't help towards smoke ganks. That's my perception of what it means. They tested it out in a stream earlier today, and towers still revealed, but it didn't look like the sentry did. With Bloodseeker, he won't see competitive because that move will be changed probably before 6.79 even comes out. Because having a hero with 4,000 movement speed is a little bit wrong, just a wee bit. They might cap it at like 1,000. Then maybe he could see competitive. Depends. If lanes turn to 2-1-2, he'll see competitive because he's good in a dual lane. But if not, I highly doubt it. Unless you put him safe lane solo. But even then, it's such a risk reward hero because you've got a silence, sure, but you're giving them more damage. So and his ulti's good against BKB, but uh, you can just buy a Ghost Scepter and he basically does 0 damage. So it'll all depend, really.
So there's a number of changes, obviously, to some of how the heroes work. In particular, Dazzle and Broodmother. While they're not in captain's mode just yet, what do you see once they come through to that competitive play? What do you expect their roles will be if they change, if any? Will they be picked up with these changes, or will they still be relegated to those tier 2 pickups, tier 3 pickups?
Anyone else got anything to say, or should I take the
I
conversation?
think with Elder Titan he won't be seen mid anymore because the spirit does less damage. Because now it only does 80 at level 1, so it affects his ability to last hit and harass in mid lane. But I think he'll still be seen because natural order is still really strong.
I think we'll be seeing a lot more Viper now that he can orb walk at level 1 now as well.
Yeah, the Viper change is massive.
That's
It's
going to
what
be
it's
pretty intense.
it's one of those changes that was really small, but changing his poison strike to 0, so you have a 0 second cooldown orb walk at level 1. You don't have to max it anymore because you maxed it a lot for the fact that you could orb walk it, because it was 4300, so you get it to at least level 3. Even without the damage, you can just max now your corrosive skin against someone who harasses you lots. So like a Queen of Pain, you can easily one-on-one a Queen of Pain because her Shadow Strike does less damage to you than your corrosive skin does to her each tick.
Mm.
So we could be seeing her up. Dazzle, I don't think the changes are enough to bring him into the metagame. Maybe as like a clutch pick if you've got like a lot of units. Like you could see him with a Broodmother even, because the heal and you surround them and it does like a bazillion damage. But Broodmother even, she's got a lot of mobility now.
Yeah, I was gonna
But the
say
Spiderlings don't have the mobility.
no,
which
So
but
is
can the
one of the things I
Spiderlings go up the
tested.
cliffs?
no, they can't. It's only her. But the AOE now on that net is like huge. It's 950.
big.
It's huge,
Yeah, it's big.
and it's gonna give you.
But still, all you have to do is buy a Sentry Ward and stun her, and then she's dead.
Yeah,
But
at
if
this,
she makes the web in the trees,
yeah.
You
can
can.
just go into the trees and then
You
they
have
can't
to
see
you have to dedicate a lot to counter her.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of easy counters to that, like get Alena, destroys trees with stun.
Yeah, just destroy trees.
Get a Beastmaster, destroys the trees. Like, and the fact of those Spiderlings is you give so much away in experience of gold. If you get lucky with like killing 5 or 10 spiders in a couple minutes, you're out leveling her 1-on-1 instantly. So
Genocidal brought up a good point. Ricky doesn't get revealed when he casts a spell or uses an item now, so you can just get a level 5 Dagon and roam.
yeah, that'll be the pub hero.
That's got to be fantastic in pub. Like the Pudge with the Blink Dagger, no trees are going to be safe. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, but yeah, because the thing with trees is if you hook them to impassable terrain, they can move freely for 5 seconds.
Do they count the trees as impossible though?
The trees are not impassable terrain. So you can blink
Yeah.
inside trees, hook,
You can blink inside the trees and hook.
because trees aren't impassable because you can destroy them. It's like big cliffs and stuff, like the little ward spots that you get stuck on. But on the Radiant side, the big ward spot with the Illuminati thing on it, you can't walk off that because it's so big. It doesn't class it as impassable terrain yet, which is probably a bug. But it's going to change the way competitive players played, but I don't think the hero pool is going to change drastically. But it is going to have changes, and you will see more heroes being picked up.
I don't know. I think with the changes to how XP is going to be divided amongst how the current form of tri lane, I think that's going to evolve into something else. So as a natural sort of progression in terms of how that goes, we should expect to see the pool change, and it could change significantly because once heroes come through to the new sort of tier 1 meta, that really mixes up the balance, and you see heroes dropping off and heroes returning. So I'm expecting actually the opposite. I'm expecting the lineup, current lineup of what you expect meta to be now. I don't expect it to be around in 3 months' time.
3 months, it can definitely change. I mean, even without a patch, it changes within 3 months. But like looking through the hero changes, like there's some people that have got these little things that'll bring them into the meta, like Viper, she's always sat on tier 2. Huskar, I don't think will make it in now because the Ghost Scepter doesn't work. You can't orb walk wild in Ghost Scepter anymore.
I'm really hoping Alchemist drops out of the meta with the
He
Chemical
won't.
Rage not giving the health.
He's stronger at level 16 now.
But
He's
he doesn't
got
get the health bust.
100
He'll need a health item.
Yeah, well, you build Heart Abyssal on him. He's got 100 HP a second regen. 100. It's ridiculous.
It's gonna make life. Sorry, interrupting. I was gonna say it's gonna make lifesteal way more viable as well because he's just gonna have so much staying power with so much regeneration. So while he won't have the hit point, he'll be able to make that difference back at either pure damage through lifesteal or just extra added on regeneration, as Dan has already said.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Brewmaster might come back into the meta as well with the change to his ulti. His new ulti's pretty nice. So if you don't know, he doesn't get from Arcanum's. It's a new Arcanum's ulti, so he doesn't get the extra damage or anything on them, but the Fire Panda gets the crit. The Wind Panda gets the castable dodge thing, Drunken Haze, and the Earth Panda gets Thunderclap. So you can, we tested it in the test client. You can Thunderclap, Split, Stun, Thunderclap, Drunken Haze, and then almost have your Thunderclap again after all that. It's ridiculous how.
And they're all independent cooldowns to his normal form as well, aren't they?
The Thunderclap shares, but by the time you've done the split and everything, it's almost back up. So it's the thunderclap is the same cooldown as before you split, which could be a bug because obviously we tested it in the test client, but it might not be.
Do you want to explain the difference in the new sentry wards to those who didn't quite understand the terminology explained in the patch?
Yep, I'll just go back to them. I believe the only change was the fact that they don't give any actual vision. They used to give a very small amount of vision around themselves,
Yeah.
which now they don't. So if someone walks directly over your sentry ward, you still won't see them. They can still be used for blocking though, which is the small thing that people don't quite understand. As far as I'm aware, you don't have to have vision of somewhere to block it. There's small invisible boxes that you can't see on the map that if anything is inside those boxes, the creeps won't spawn. So in that theory, they should still block the camp, unless they're not counted as a unit. But they've always been counted as a unit, same as observer wards. So it's not the vision, because you can look directly at a creep spawn camp in the daytime, and if you're out of that small box, it'll still spawn. So it's basically just the fact that if you walk over them, they can't see you anymore, and they give 50 gold when you destroy them, same as observer wards, which is pretty sweet. No, sorry. Sentry wards don't get gold, but observer wards give 50 gold. So dewarding is really good because you can get gold for your supports. You get 2 sentries, get 2 dewards, you've almost made your money back. That's as far as I'm aware, that's how they'll work because they should still block because they're a unit.
So, out of this patch, I guess we'll do this in a more constructive way. Let's ask people one at a time. For currently in the Skype chat, let's ask them one at a time what they think. What's the most exciting element of the patch that they read that they like, rather than what they don't like. We'll start with you, Dan.
Oh jeez. What I like or what I like, not what I don't like.
Yeah. So, what do you like? Don't talk about what you don't like. Just talk about what you think is the most exciting change of the patch that, from your perspective. Like one, just pick a thing.
A thing. Jeez, that's hard. I think. Uh, I think the most exciting thing actually is the Roshan respawn change for me. So the respawn is between 8 minutes and 11 minutes after he dies. So a lot of people rely on the fact that if they're on Dire, they know exactly when Roshan's going to spawn. So they all set up their, they kill a couple ancients, they set up their wards, they get the dominance over the pit. But you can't do that anymore because there's a 3-minute time bracket where it might spawn. So it's a lot more to having control over the map and having like illusion scout there or treants or broodmother spiders to keep moving around rather than just knowing when it starts and having the better team fight or just simply being on the dire side. So I think that's probably my favorite thing to come out of it. Um, it's very odd and I'm not sure if I like it, but it's the most exciting thing.
What about you, Sophie? What is the thing that you think is the most exciting from the changes?
I have a few things. I like all of the buffs for the offlane. So the XP AOE increased from 1200 to 1300. I think that's really good. And also how the creeps will now be closer to the offlaner's tower. So instead of being close to the short lane, it'll be closer to the offlaner's tower. Not that much, like it's not that much difference, but it's still like a lot better and it's a lot safer. So you won't see the offlaners go into the jungle that much, like Nature's Prophet, Darkseer, maybe even Batrider probably won't go into the jungle, simply because jungle creeps got nerfed, so it's more beneficial if they stay in the lane, and the creeps are closer to their tower as well. And I think the pool camp change is interesting as well, how the medium camp is now the small camp. So I think the only way to kill the camp, I haven't actually tested it, but this is what I reckon, is that if you stack the small camp twice, so if you stack it once, sorry, and then you have to pull through, so either on Radiant or Dire, you pull the other medium camp or the large camp on Dire, and then I think that will clear the whole creep wave. But I think if you pull it and then pull through on Radiant, I don't think it'll be enough to kill it. I think the creeps, like some of the lane creeps, will still go back.
Yeah, but won't the changes to the AOE shared XP mean that stacking can be counterproductive? Because they can just come rock up, hide somewhere, let you kill everything, and go, "Yeah, we got free XP, thanks."
Yeah, exactly. Me and a friend were theory crafting with a thing like Bounty Hunter. You know how Bounty
Yeah.
Hunter's really annoying in the jungle? Now he can be even more annoying and get extra experience.
Basically, every time they pick a jungle hero like Enigma, Fury, and anything, just pick a bounty hunter.
Yeah,
Because
someone
you
invisible.
legitimately trade evenly, and then as soon as they've taken a bit of damage, you just kill them. Junglers are going to have to carry dust, which is really going to hurt how they farm. So
Or just pray
it's
there's not a Bloodseeker.
yeah, we have 4,000 movement speed Bloodseeker running at them.
Global.
God, that's just so dumb. I think the highest I've seen it now is like 400, 4,300 and something, which was like disgusting. Like you get from well to well in like 6 seconds, I think it was, the whole map. It's
Yeah, it's
insane.
pretty fast.
I don't. It's just I don't like it.
Reese, so what is your logical scope? What is your take on the patch? What's the thing you like the most, or the thing that excites you from the changes that you've read?
I'm really excited to see how the new items go. With the buff on the Vanguard going up to 80% and Axe's buff as well, we might see more of him. The Veil of Discord with the Null Talisman being built means Quap can build into it much more. You know, it'd make sense. The Lincoln Sphere being able to cast on an allied hero, that excites me. I could see a lot of supports being saved by a dying carry. Unless, Dan's playing it.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. I was
Screw y'all.
I was going to say the Lincoln Sphere as well. That change is very interesting because it adds the options for supports to pick it up just so that they can click it onto carries when they need to, or deep initiators. So you know that this hero is going to go in like a tide. It's going to go in for the deep initiation, and you want him not to be stunned out, or the Enigma. And so you know you can secure that additional chance to get that off without that hero having to invest in a BKB so early.
Yeah, one of the things for those who need an explanation on the Lincolns, basically you can cast it on someone. It puts it on cooldown for you, and then once it's back off cooldown, it runs out on the person if they don't have anything cast on them. But if they have a Lincolns and you cast it on them, if theirs is off cooldown, both will pop from one spell. But if theirs is off cooldown, yours will pop, and then their cooldown won't be increased again. So what you want to do is basically have theirs pop first, then cast yours on them, and then hopefully by that time theirs is up again. So you can almost get 3 spell dodges in a row, and that's probably the most powerful thing about it.
Will they not share the cooldown? Like if somebody has a
Uh,
Lincoln Sphere and you cast a Lincoln Sphere
no,
buff on them? Ah.
well, if yours is off cooldown and they cast one on you, then if a spell hits you, their shield goes off and yours goes on cooldown. But if yours is off cooldown and they cast one on you, then it doesn't increase your cooldown. When the one they put on you goes on, and it looks really cool too. It's like this big blue shield
Yeah,
because
it's
you
like
can
a
physically
blue
see it
Abaddon
really
shield.
easily. Yeah, but so they know that when it's on you, so they won't waste a spell on you most likely, unless they know they've got to queue up their spells.
Right. I think the most exciting changes are to my favorite heroes. Definitely Disruptor. I like that because I play a lot. I used to play like religiously Disruptor because I just like the fact that he can mess with people's position, you know, in terms of the kinetic field and glimpse. And I really like those changes to those particular mechanics. And I just like the exciting prospect of potentially putting Brood in mid because I feel that that's where you could be really aggressive with Broodmother now that she's got that huge, massive net.
Yeah, and you can use the spiderlings to farm the medium camp right next to you as well.
Mm.
Because you wouldn't have them in the lane because generally a mid has a decent nuke, and if you keep them there, you're just gonna feed them. It's gonna take like Brood used to be a very easy hero to play because back when he was popular, people weren't getting big AOE spells on the heroes. They were getting like dual cores or tri-cores, and then you'd be against a Broodmother who would just push one lane and rax you in like 20 minutes. But nowadays, with a nuke, that's why she's not there anymore. The XP and gold got buffed from each Broodling. Um, and then you just get so far ahead of her. If you 1v1 and she doesn't know how to play it like perfectly, you'll be 1 or 2 levels above within 9 minutes, which is a big thing. So I think if you have very skilled micros, people not even very skilled, but know how to position themselves as well as units and shift queue them up to different camps to farm effectively, then it'll be good. But then you neuter if you have a jungler, you fuck them up because they can't get any farm because you're killing them as well. So
Yeah.
it's like putting all your stakes in one bag just on your mid, and she can't gank. She's a worthless ganker.
Well, I was just thinking more on the fact that you could reliably farm the two. If you're on Radiant, you could reliably farm the two safe camps while you're mid with that net, while
Yeah.
also laning in the middle. So as long as you keep those creeps out of the range of whoever you're going head to head with, you could just get XP gain that way.
Yeah, definitely.
In
And with
terms
it
of
being 1300, you can sort of stand just past your tower and get experience from that median camp. So you can gain a lot more experience as well.
And with the flying courier nerf, you'll probably want to run heroes mid that don't need to bottle pro as much as well.
Yeah, because flying courier is 3 minutes. You can't buy it before 3 minute mark.
3 minutes now, yeah.
But
Yeah.
they did buff the walking courier, but it's not.
Went up to 350. It's not a big buff.
Yeah, and it got 2 hits instead of one, so it's on 75 health instead of 40.
Mm.
But it's still going to be really easy to kill for like a Furion. It's still a free kill because
Yeah.
you've only got to hit it twice, and you can't just go, oh shit, upgrade the courier. It's about to get hit, because if it's before 3 minutes, you're like, well, we can't.
You can't. You also can't now use the flying courier for vision. I know that old Kaipi used to do it. Well, they did it once, I think.
they
They
did
used it
that
for
in Dota
vision and
one.
they used it to block camps as well.
Yeah, it hasn't been able to block camps
a
for like
while.
2 or 3 packs.
Yeah, for a while.
But does it have zero vision as well now?
No, just before 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
'cause it
Oh,
can't
yeah.
fly, obviously. Yeah.
Unless you
yeah.
want it to walk
Kaipi's, who was? Yeah, Kaipi used to do it a lot, as you said. It was a
Yeah.
little cool little thing, but it was one of those risk reward things. Because if they found it, they'd kill it.
Yeah, and then mid's basically screwed.
And they fixed Juggernaut, which was nice too. Juggernaut back in Dota 1, you used to be able to cast items, and you never could in Dota 2, but they fixed that. And a Ethereal Blade doesn't stop your jumps anymore.
So,
So what they
I,
do
I
is
was
they
just
use-
thinking that. Sorry, I was to go back to that Omni Slash. You can use abilities while you're Omni Slashing. All right.
Yep.
So the only couple of there's only a couple of items I could think of. One was Shiva's. The other one was Mask of Madness. If you wanted to jump faster, I guess. Um, what else could you possibly use while you're Omni Slashing?
You've
Refresher.
got you can use Refresher while Omni Slashing and start another Omni Slash while you're doing it, which is awesome because they can't hit you. You're rooted while you do it, so you can't cast Blink Dagger, you can't cast Force Staff. If they use a Ethereal Blade, you can defusel it, so you keep hitting them. So you might miss 1 or 2 hits, but you can just turn it off straight away. You can use
Can you
things like
TP
Manta.
out while you're doing
I
it?
was getting to that, man. You can
Sorry.
TP out with a scroll. I'm not sure about Boots of Travel though. But with the teleport scroll, you can activate it while using it, which is probably the strongest part of it. And you keep hitting them. So you
that's
cast it
lols.
after 2 or 3
That's
you
that's
cast it after 2 or
So
3
good.
hits, and you've killed them, and then you're gone.
yeah, that's so lols actually. The way I'm looking
It
at
used,
that.
it used to be one of the big tricks you do in Dota 1 against people who didn't know how it worked, because you could cast items. And that was one of the things that I really missed, but they brought it back. But they didn't nerf Visage Birds how they're supposed to be yet, because Visage Birds are still bugged in Dota 2, as in they can't be hit by a lot of spells. In Dota 1, you could hit them with any spell. But now you can't, and some spells work half, like some stun but don't do damage, and some do damage but don't stun, and some you just can't attack them. So it's really weird. But Visage got a pretty big nerf with the magic resistance. She has the lowest magic resistance in the game, gone from 25% to 10, which is going to hurt because Visage is going to be a really easy target for nukers now. You get a leaner and you ult the Visage, and he's probably going to die.
Alright, so reverse question, starting with Dan. What is the thing you don't like about the current patch? What the thing you think is probably detrimental to the game?
There's a couple of things. I think the 2 or 3 biggest things is Skeleton King has basically been turned to shit compared to what he was, because they removed Mortal Strike, and that was the only reason he was a good hero. His vampiric aura does work on range units, but when you get a Skeleton King, he's your carry. Now he's almost a tanky support. So running a Skeleton King as support might become a thing, but I honestly hate the change. Um, Phantom Assassin is basically RNGG Lord. If you don't get good RNG, she's shit, same as normal. Uh, I do like Meepo, so I don't hate that actually. The Meepo thing's
I
quite.
don't like the night vision nerf to Meepo.
A lot of people got night vision nerfs though, like
Yeah,
almost
even
every.
Mirana, and she's priestess of the
Yeah.
moon.
Yeah, and
She's priestess of the moon, but she can't see.
yeah, and Drow Ranger,
And Drow, yeah.
Yeah.
which was a big thing. There was one other thing. Oh, evasion now stacks diminishingly. That if you get a void and two butterflies, they almost can't hit you at all. And that's not an exaggeration. With
What a- what
void and
what
two
about
butterflies, you have 97% evasion.
what about? Yeah, I know, I knew that, but I was thinking, doesn't just big MKB burn through that, so you don't have to worry about that anyway?
Well, not through void's normal one,
Not
but you've
through
got to think
backpack.
how many of them can afford a MKB?
Well, how many people can
It's
afford? How can
Well,
many people can
Void's gonna
afford?
get two
Yeah,
butterflies.
and who can afford two butterflies? That's the
Well,
other
if you're
thing.
playing,
Void.
it's like if you're playing a one roll void versus another one roll hero, you get two butterflies on the void, and that one roll gets an MKB. Okay, he can hit you, but none of the other team can. No one else, and void can dodge everyone's attacks except that carries. So if you look at it from that way, one person can hit void, and four people can't hit void. So it's a, I mean, and plus the only thing void lacks in is attack speed. Butterfly gives you attack speed and damage and evasion. So I don't know. I just don't like it because you've always run on this fact. Sure, you can get one butterfly and it does a bit, but now you can get more, and it's stupid on PA too because no one can hit you. It makes me mad.
I
Because
get, I can tell in your voice it makes you mad. You're so angry.
we got a void and put four butterflies on him and spawned fountains. We spawned four fountains against him, and he survived for 6 minutes. There is something wrong with that.
Right. So here's the same question to Sophie. What do you dislike about the patch so far that you just read and you just think, oh, this is no good. This is not good.
I don't like that you can't disassemble tranquil boots now. But I get that it's got all the other buffs and stuff. But I
The
still like,
fastest boots now.
yeah, exactly. Apart from BOTs, I think.
Nope, faster than bots.
Oh, really?
Yep, fastest boots in the
Ooh.
game. That's why they can't be disassembled
Yeah.
because they've been turned into the Hon boots that I've heard about. Is that you can't attack or be attacked for 13 seconds before using the activatable, and if you attack, they get slower as well. So it's like a support's favorite thing. They don't attack or get attacked, so it's
Yeah,
helpful.
exactly.
But that's about it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love them and hate them at the same time.
Yeah, me too. I also love and hate the fact that you can't pull regen anymore
Mm.
because I don't like it if I'm going to play someone who needs extra regen, but I think it's good at the same time because if one team pulls, say, their mid or their off lane regen, then they can play a bit more aggressive and sort of have the upper hand against that lane. But another thing I don't really know if I like or not is the Vanguard change. Because the block increased, but I don't think the block should have increased. I think maybe they should have just made it so that it can be disassembled.
Yeah, there's always been this big thing about it being disassembled, but Vanguard would be OP if you could disassemble it.
It would
That's what
be
I'm
the
thinking as
go-to
well. I
hard
think
one.
It
it
would
might be a
be-
bit too OP.
Vanguard would be the best item in the game if you could disassemble it. And the Chaos Belt. I actually like the Chaos Bolt change. Either high damage, low stun, or high stun, low damage. I think that's how it should be, because it's more chaotic.
Right. So logical scope. What is the thing that you find that you don't like so much about this patch?
I don't really dislike any of it. I really love these updates. There's only one thing that is worrying me a little bit, and that's the buyback change.
God, that's
If
good.
if late game it's getting a bit intense, the carry might not want to play quite as hard for fear of buying back and not and dying again, then having 25% of the remaining time added to his next death, like it might stop some late game man mode, and no one wants that.
Me
Stop
myself,
rage buybacks as well.
yeah. Me myself, this is the weirdest thing. I was going to go what? I don't like the change to observer words. I don't like the fact that they've increased it by a minute. I like the fact that, if anything, I like the fact that they're harder to get and they've got a smaller time frame rather than having 7 minute observer words. I just
Yeah,
don't like
see,
it.
but it's the same because day and night have changed from 6-6 to 4-4. So what they've done is that if you place them right, they would run out just after night. And if you place them right now with the 7 minute, they run out just before day. So they're weaker but stronger at the same time. It's really weird how they've done it. But because the day and night change and the wards have got, it's almost the same with ward vision.
All right. So, what heroes do you think will no longer be picked up as much as a result of the patch? And I'm gonna start with Sophie.
Batrider. His base damage got nerfed by like 10. It was a lot, whatever it was. I can't remember
Yeah, it was the
exactly.
same as the change to
Yeah,
invoke.
48 to 52 from 38 to 42. His vision got reduced, his lasso got reduced. I think he can't really be that much of a viable pick. I think he'll probably drop off into the tier 2 pool of heroes. But yeah, I don't think he's really first pick, first ban material now because it'll be really hard for him to last hit if he does go mid, considering he's only got 38 base damage, unless he does stack up the napalm. But yeah, I don't think Batrider will get seen much anymore.
Dan, what about you?
Um, Batrider, I'm kind of two parts about. He can go jungle, still basically exactly the same. But his ulti's pretty bad now too, because it's such a short. It's melee range because it's 100. So I agree with Sophie there. I don't know if he'll fall into the second pool. I think he'll maybe not be first pick, first ban, but I definitely think he's still going to be up there. Another one who is most probably going to fall out is Timbersaw again, because the only reason he came in was the Chakram reduce in mana, and then it's been buffed up again to a lot of mana. So I think he's going to slowly fall out. Because he's such a snowball hero, he needs that Chakram early to be able to snowball and get the kills, because that's a lot of his damage in the big slow. And without that, I don't think he can really do anything. Trent Protector's dead.
Yeah.
He will never be picked up again unless it's in a really clutch strat that needs one level of living armor once to win. Uh, Visage might be picked up less because he's going to be really easy to kill, and he's going to start with 0 armor and 10% magic resistance. So he's going to be really easy to kill. Uh, who else?
Let's give Logical Scope a chance to add his opinion into the fray.
Yeah, I don't really think the meta's going to change that much other than the Visage, maybe. Definitely the tree. Possibly the OD, or at least just building him differently. Probably not getting a buckler first to try and trigger his essence. The base damage isn't that great a deal. I'm not really seeing anything else that would change that drastically. Venomancer's already not in there that much anyway.
I think a lot of heroes can come in, but I don't think a lot of heroes are going to fall out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was looking at this earlier, and I was thinking about heroes that are already seeing a decline because current changing meta styles. So, for example, Shadow Demon used to be picked up all the time. Now Shadow Demon is not picked up so much, and same as Keeper of the Light. And I feel that those kind of heroes that don't add significant amounts to the late game, those are going to just really drop off sharply. So we just won't see them anymore, is what I'm thinking. We won't see those heroes that don't have significant impact on the late game. Because I feel that the game has kind of changed a little bit from the potential to rat Dota, if I can use the bad word. It's changed from that focus to more of a gank damage focus in terms of what teams are going to change in terms of their overall strategy. You're going to see less teams go, let's go for this really late game split push thing, and you're going to see teams go, let's go for the early game rotate smoke gank. Um, be ultra aggressive, and as a result, those heroes that I feel that don't have the survivability or don't have the innate escape abilities are gonna just disappear. We're just not gonna see them. So I'm expecting heroes like Keeper of the Light, like I said already, Keeper of the Light and Shadow Demon are two the best examples I can think of. But there's probably a whole bunch of others that I'm not thinking of. They'll just disappear. You just won't see them anymore.
Yeah, I agree and disagree with you there. Um, because I think lanes are going to be running differently. I think the biggest heroes that are going to be in the pool are heroes with kill ability. Because Coddle is actually really good for killing people. You just build him differently. Because Chakram, because he's slightly changed, he now destroys trees when he pushes them, which is another thing that's good against Brood. Um, is that he can get easy kills with mana leak. You just have to build him differently. So you get like a one level of mana leak, even level one generally works because if they're offline they come forward too much, you mana leak them, then they're screwed. And it's really good against Timbersaw. And Shadow Demon, I do actually think he's going to come back as well because of the buff to Leshrac. Leshrac and Shadow Demon are like best buds, and one comes in, the other one's going to come in. So if Leshrac comes back in, Shadow Demon's going to come in.
Yeah, I know. I understand the synergy between them in terms of setting up the stun, but I don't necessarily think that just because they have good synergy means that they're going to come back in. I still think that with the change of focus of what the game is probably going to be, those softer heroes.
Well, it's going to be about the early kills.
Yeah.
And those heroes give you the early kills, and Leshrac runs really well into the mid game. Because of dual lanes, I think are going to come back. Shadow Demon Leshrac is one of the strongest dual lanes you can have.
Yeah, I agree, but I also disagree.
It's like by themselves. I think they're a good like roaming support couple, so to speak. But I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that Veno and Disruptor will come in and hopefully help out as well. Because I think the slow's pretty strong into kinetic field, and if they're both level 2, then you can have either the poison sting damage or the wards, which now have poison sting damage as well, plus the nuke as well, and
What
then you have
what people don't
But the
understand
game doesn't do
carry off
damage
lane or
anymore.
someone.
The
Well-
Gale does damage, but it doesn't do any dot on level 1.
what people
But it
don't
does still
understand
do the initial damage.
with their kinetic field changes. I had someone ask me, well, "What does this really mean?" It means that if you click the edge of the ring, the ring you get when you land kinetic field, on the current edge of where the hero currently is, you're guaranteed to trap them. Whereas before you had to you had to eyeball it a little bit based on how fast they were moving. Now, because I've done a few tests with it, now with the kinetic field increase in range, any hero at level 1, if you just put the edge of the ring on wherever they currently are, you will guarantee to trap them, regardless if it's Luna or if it's fucking, sorry for swearing, whether or not it's Viper. Because the range increase means that you're definitely going to trap them. And I like
But that
that.
only means if they run in a straight line away from it.
Yeah, but if you're using it, normally it's in a situation to either displace the enemy from pursuing or
Yeah.
stopping them from retreating. So, like for example, the best place to use it, from my experience, is when you're jostling around Rosh and you're not really sure what's going on. You pop it outside the Rosh pit, or you pop it at the base of one of those stairs, and it really just stops teams coming through for 15 seconds, which could mean everything when it's really really close. But it means now that I can position it and trap them all, and then track my ult on it, knowing that I'm going to land it successfully, because it's got such a larger ring, which doesn't seem like a big number when you're just looking at it on the paper. But when you look at the actual ring size, that's a sizable distance. But even with that buff, I don't know if he's going to come back. I'm excited. I hope he does. I hope he comes into being picked up more. But I just don't think. I just feel that he's too squishy.
I think he'll still come back though, because there are teams that like to play him. Like I know Fnatic like to play him. Well, they like to, but whether or not he'll actually come back or whether Fly will pick it. But I know Notel loves to play Disruptor and he really loves to play it in competitive games as well. And I think with the upgrades, they do still sometimes play him as well as the Venomancer as well. But I think he does have a chance to come back, but he is quite squishy. So I think it will depend. Like he'll still be a situational pick.
I
Yeah,
just sorry, Dan, go.
I think I don't think the hero pool's actually going to lose many heroes from the top tier. I think maybe 2 or 3 are going to see a lot less, but there's no hero in the top tier right now that will completely disappear. Maybe fall into tier 2. None of them have been pushed way out because Tree and Protector was already in tier 2 from the big patch
Yeah.
before TI3. But a lot of more heroes can come in. It's going to broaden the hero pool, but I don't think it's going to it's not going to quite do what 6.75 did, was just completely kick out some heroes and then bring in another set. And then they just sat there and went, all right, this is our meta now. But in the first 3 months of this, in the first month and a half of this, the hero pool is going to increase a lot and then shrink a little, but nowhere near as much as this meta is right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree because what was it? I'm thinking back before the previous patch. Lycan, Lycan was always being played. Naga Siren
Lycan was TI1, between TI1 and TI2. Lycan
Yeah.
was the best hero in the game, and he was banned every game.
Yeah, but even in TI2, Lycan, Naga Siren, Enigma, and Tide
But
were
still
were
banned
the,
out.
were the
Yeah.
were the premium pickups for teams, and I don't like this there's only one way to play Dota sort of meta that kind of exists sometimes. I like the ability we can go this way or we can go that way. For example, I've been spending a lot of time watching crazy Ukrainian Dota, and they drive so differently. Like the most common strat that I've seen so far is War Runner IO. War Runner IO is so common in all the lineups that I've watched it so far. I've watched probably about 40, 50 games in the last 3 weeks, and half of them is they either ban that or they get through, and you just never see that down here. And I like that. I like that there's something different. So I'm hoping that this patch adds that kind of element to the pool. Like you said, it grows. I hope it doesn't contract at all. I actually hope it just massively grows, and there's just this.
It'll always contract, just because you can't practice a full hero pool as a competitive player.
Mm.
Because you can't master a hero pool. You won't see the level of play. If the hero pool grows too much, you won't see the level of play we do now, which will be disappointing. But it'll definitely contract a little, because there's always going to be heroes better than some. They'll still be those top 10 heroes to pick, but bans will determine what heroes they're going to pick. Whereas now there's 15 heroes people actually just pick ever.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to say 50 gold on wards. Man,
Yeah,
that's
well, we did
huge. That's
No, we said
massive.
that.
Did we? Okay, I totally missed it.
I went over that, man.
Went over that, man. This
Someone's not paying attention.
Wow,
No.
I feel ignored.
is
It's rough, man.
check out that caster's ability to attention to detail. No, yeah, just
It's pretty nice. It's helpful for supports, but
didn't you?
carry players, it's gonna go. Don't deny that. Don't do it, man. It's mine. My 50.
Leave
You'll
it
be
for
doing
me.
that. You'll be standing behind
I'm
with the
sure-
cutting blade going, I got this.
Yeah, I'm
Wait,
sure
look
I
at that.
saw Dan talking about this earlier today in Skype, that you're saying that it's gonna make dewarding so much more effective because people are like, oh, I just picked up 100 gold, so it's gonna kind of pay for itself. So you'll see much more aggressive dewarding because it has a return.
Even now, it's so hard to get wards on the map and not have them dewarded. Even in the pool I'm in, you ward, you get dewarded. 9 times out of 10, they will catch both your wards,
Yeah.
unless you're on the Radiant, because then they can actually miss 2 wards with 3 sentries, which is fun to watch. But if you're on the Dire, they
It's like one
guaranteed to
spot
get
and
them
you
with
get
2
the ward.
sentries. They're guaranteed to get any spot. You can block that camp. But the thing is with this, you're not going to want to block that camp if you're going aggressive. Because them pulling that helps you, because the shared experience. Why block off experience you could be taking? Before you could nuke it and maybe get some of it. Now you get all the experience from it. Just fight there. The fights on aggressive tri-lanes versus tri-lanes, or even duel versus duel, are going to be behind the Radiant tier 1. Which is going to be fun.
So
Because there's more experience there.
I've got a question on Steam. This is not for us, but this is really for the guys who do the patches. When are techies coming? They totally want techies.
Techies is the last hero, and There's been rumors that he actually is not coming in, but he's getting full reworked and being changed into the mortar guy from Dota 1 that's been added. So yeah,
So many hearts just broke.
He's screaming out.
but
No.
yeah,
No.
I wanted
he
to
is
plant mines everywhere. I wanted to plant mines. Why are you destroying my dream?
guaranteed. They said that he will be the last hero in. So yeah, I might have just hurt some feelings then, but the hard truths come out. And don't ask me why I know these things.
Why do you know these things?
It's because you're Daredevil Dan.
See, Scope's got it.
You know, that's enough said.
Yeah, enough said.
Another thing we haven't talked about is starting gold increasing from 603 to 625. Round of gold bonus decreased by 50, which doesn't really affect competitive play.
Yeah.
And the whole tangos, instead of 3 trees, you get 4, and it's 125 gold.
Yeah, but he
And
You can't-
cells increased by 50.
Yeah, but you can't pull the stuff. That's the
You
thing.
can't pull.
you can
Yeah.
you can pull tangos, but they
One
only
tango.
last 60 seconds. You can give them one. Well, you can give them 5 if they have 5 empty slots, but they only last 60 seconds. If they don't use them, they run out, disappear.
You greedy carry players aren't going to need to be pulled anymore.
Yeah, it's gonna be sad.
I like the gold increase because it means that you can focus on probably stat items that haven't increased in value whatsoever. So if you want to play that greedy carry and have a support stay right on your ass and give you tangos when you need them, then you can still do that. And then you're going to have that option to maybe go into an early converted wand or go into an early wraith band or something. So I like that option. I just don't like the fact that they've messed with so many consumables and like how they actually work.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's leaning in like I don't want to say other games because they're dirty, but I think it's leaning towards. I think it's the terminology I use is the same.
And you're too one-side minded.
The
All
terminology.
the MOBAs have better things about them than Dota does.
Yeah.
Every single one of them has something better than the other one does.
Yeah, the terminology I'm going to use is the same terminology I use for WoW, which is they're dumbing it down. That's the way I feel that they're taking this game.
It's not, because it's getting harder. It's not getting dumber.
Like you'll
It's
need to have a
harder.
pocket support in order to stay in lane if you don't get pulled. Like,
Yep.
it's not getting easier.
No way. It is
Oh,
not
I
getting
don't know. This is the way I look at it. Like you can't give stuff to people, so it eliminates an option. So therefore, the pool of options has been limited. Therefore, mentally, it's easier to absorb.
Yeah, but did you ever play Dota 1 where you could buy an item for someone
Yes, because it was
and you
Warcraft
could
3.
give them gold? And did you think that was a good thing, and would you like that to be here now?
I like the idea of giving
When
gold
it
to
almost-
someone. I like the idea of giving gold to someone because
But
I'm.
would it be good now? Would it
No,
seriously
not
be good
in-
to give
in-
someone
in
all your
Dota
gold
2?
at the
No.
start and start with like a fucking treads, flats, instant?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
They're
But
whittling it down slowly, and now it's almost gone. But you can still use them, and you can still give them a bottle.
well, yeah, with woods you can still transfer money to people. Did they remove that bug or not?
What?
So the bug used to be that you'd like, I'd buy a whole bunch of Century Wards and you'd buy a whole bunch of Century Wards and then I'd give you my Century Wards and you'd sell them for full value.
No, it doesn't work.
So when did they remove that last patch? I guess because only dirty
Couple-
only dirty players do that.
Just
Not to
like-
say that my team have done that in any tournaments whatsoever, but when that existed, I knew of teams that actually did that in tournament play because they're like, we're gonna lose, and so they did it because it wasn't against the rules.
If it's in the game, you can abuse it.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that now people can't buy a bottle at level 1.
Yeah, but only idiots at level 1 anyway.
Yeah, he's right.
Exactly,
He-
so it stops the idiots.
Yeah, he's right. He's right. I was gonna say,
Thank God.
I got a guy who coaches me in Dota because I'm terrible. If you've watched any of my Friday Night Dota drunk videos, you know that I don't need to be drunk to be terrible. In fact, the later the video goes, the better I get. But I'm terrible. I'm terrible, particularly carry. And I got a guy who coaches me, and he says to me, you know, the worst thing people do is they don't buy stats. They buy boots and they buy bottles and they buy consumables. He said the thing you want to buy the most of, if you can afford to, is like a little bit of regen, a little bit of consumables, but mostly stats, because it just adds up to so much in terms of extrapolating into levels.
If you have 3 more damage than the other person you're playing against in mid, You should technically win that lane if your heroes are even.
GG
That's the thing. If you have 3 extra strength and 3 extra damage, that's a big difference between evenly skilled players. It's a big difference.
So, in the last closing minutes, because we've got about 10 minutes before I have to kind of kick you all out and get ready for the match.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever, Trevor.
We see how it is.
In summary, your closing thoughts on the patch and where you think the direction of Dota is going. You've got 10 minutes.
Huh? Sorry, what? I missed that.
In summary, your thoughts on the patch and what you think the direction of Dota is going to be in, say, 3 months' time.
Anybody else want to start, or should I keep talking as normal?
I'm hoping to see it's going to be a bit more fast-paced, especially with the change of the day and night. Maybe that'll get people to move a bit faster. Not so much long-term farming late game, just lots of early pushes.
No more Red Dota.
Rat Dota's still there.
Well,
man.
there's always going to be Rat Dota.
Rat Dota is probably the strongest thing after this patch.
You know what's
Like,
you know
just
what's
pick
really
Nature's
funny?
Prophet, get a helmet the Dominator, you'll be fine.
You know what's really funny? The term Rat Dota is actually like a what do you call it? A compliment when it was originated. Because rats are like cunning creatures that wait for when they have the advantage and they scurry around and they wait until they have the massive numbers to actually, you know, take the smart approach and attack something. Whereas kind of like over the last I don't know, couple of months, it's degraded into like a negative condensation for a playstyle of Dota. Goddamn Rat Dota.
Because the Russians got mad. VP got real mad at Fnatic for picking Meepo and Furion and split pushing them to death. So then NS called them rats. I can't remember what match it was. It was a couple of months ago when Fnatic were really good, like in May or something.
Yeah, when they were really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
sad.
think the direction it's going is that the skill cap on competitive is going to go up again. Because there was this lull where at TI2, only the best of the best beat the best of the best. And by TI3, you saw everyone sort of like more even playing field. And everything definitely evened out because a lot of people were putting more time into it. But with this patch, that's going to change again. With the fact of, because everything's getting harder, the people who don't practice every day on their competitive teams are going to fall off again.
But
So
I mean,
competitive-wise, I think the
I
top
don't know,
teams
that's-
are going to go
that's
above.
slightly an oxymoron because if you're on a competitive team, you're going to be practicing every day. I watched that video.
No, I'm
Not
talking-
necessarily.
Not
Hopefully.
necessarily. Teams don't practice every day. Like, I'm talking like work hours, 9 hours a day. Some teams practice 2 or 3 games a day, and they're still at the top.
Yeah, I was watching a video about Navi, like the first, like when they were first moved together into this flat, and like some guy's mum like plans their meals and makes sure they
Yep.
eat, and their
Their
dad,
managers,
Aww.
all
their
their managers feed them everything. They
yeah,
don't have to worry about it.
because they won't, otherwise they won't eat, and then they get like really malnutrition, they get sick and stuff. And they had their dad is like, you guys have to play this time, and you have to play this time, and you have to play this time, because otherwise they never play together because they'd be like, I'm going to sleep now while someone else is waking up. So they have to have somebody actually tell them when to play.
That's why teams with managers are better than the teams without.
Mhm.
Except you get the raw talent people, like when Kaipi first arrived. They had no one telling them what to do, but they were just raw talent and they broke into the scene. But like Navi, Alliance, teams like that, they have managers, especially the Chinese teams. They have strict
DK.
routines of when they play and what they do.
Yeah, well, that's because it is getting to the end of like a sport. It is
Yeah.
getting that close. And when you think about the money involved, like from TI3, if it'd been an Asian team that won, that's like a lifetime worth of working right there at the age of 16, 17, earning more money than most of your extended relatives combined in a lifetime. You're winning playing a computer game. So if you're coming along in terms of yeah, we're getting good, we're getting progressive. People jump on board and they really get in behind you and whatnot. But it's when you're in the sort of this bracket, the lower brackets, that people are like, it's a computer game, you should get over it, get a real job.
Yeah. I mean, it's easier in Asia because esports has been around a lot longer there, especially with like StarCraft. Like StarCraft, professional StarCraft players in Korea are more famous than Rockstars.
Yeah, but
They get like
yeah,
all the bitches, and it's because it's so highly regarded there. It's a real sport,
it's accepted.
and it's
It's
becoming like
accepted.
that.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same as a good example is animation. So in Western culture, for a very long time, anything that was animated was considered to be a cartoon and therefore was for children. Yeah, whereas it wasn't seen that way in Eastern culture. And the same is said for esports in Eastern culture. It's more widely accepted as an actual sport, and in the skill in order to play a game is accepted. Where again, still in Western culture, you're playing a computer game. When are you going to get off the couch and get a
Except
job?
Sweden. Sweden are like #1 in the world for esports.
Yeah,
Like
and
they have it on prime time
I'm
TV.
gonna
Like
also say
Superstar.
now I'm gonna also say now Russia, because Russia's esports scene has massively exploded.
Yeah.
And if you look at, there's a map. Where's the map? If I go in to those guys who are currently watching the stream, if I go into the play, oh, I can't because I'm in a lobby. But if you go into the play and look at players by region, look at where the massive concentration of players are in Europe.
Yeah.
They're
It's Eastern Europe. It's
it's
Russia
yeah, it's Eastern Europe.
and Ukraine.
It's Ukraine. It's Macedonia. It's the Balkans. It's Russia.
And that's why they have the worst and best players. It's because they have the biggest
I don't.
pool.
They don't have worse players. They have a different play style. That's the problem.
No, no, no. They do actually have the worst players and the best players. They have some seriously bad players. Not competitive wise, but just general wise.
I don't know.
They
Like
got
Wise.
I don't know. Like there's a guy that I think his name's Jason. Yeah, his name's Jason. That played. He's the only person I know that played Hon like a religion, another dirty game. Um, and he said to me like, he said even in that game that the playstyle of the Russians is the same as he plays Dota now, of course. But he said that the playstyle is the same. If you live in like the Eastern European Russian region, when anyone goes in, it doesn't matter if they're a good player or not. If somebody's diving, you all dive. It doesn't matter what's going on. It's just a natural thing. It's a given rule. Everybody does it.
Well,
But
that's the difference between the two games though, because Hon, it was all about the team fights and it was very very fast paced, and they haven't broken the cycle yet because you had to go in.
yeah, but it's the same sort of kind of existence from his perspective, and it made sense that the same mentality is carried over into Dota for those from the Eastern European scene. That if somebody's going in to dive, it doesn't matter if they're a bad player, you just follow them because, and then you're more likely than not to kill somebody before you die, rather than just letting them die and they end up feeding.
Yeah,
You
but
either
in Hon, you didn't have to be good to run a team fight because it was so hard to see everything because it was so fast. If you got your spells off, you generally won the team fight. So that's when it was because you didn't actually have to be good players to win the team fights. To win the game, you did, but to win team fights, one person goes in, they're the initiator or tank, and then you just follow them. But you can blindly follow in that game. In this game, you cannot because it's better to lose one person than to kill one and lose four.
yeah. Any case, we've got 1 minute, or 6 minutes or so, I guess, before the match is officially supposed to start. So in the last minute, is there anything you want to say to the 40 odd people currently watching the stream?
I love you.
Check out Southern Cross Dota.
Yeah,
Cool.
there you go. There's somebody doing the plugs. Somebody has to do the plugs. Right, okay, so this was Sophie, Logical Scope, and Devil Dividend, and Omega Kai having a quick 40,
Myself.
50, 60-minute discussion. Disregarded. Totally
Daredevil
disregarded.
Dan will be handing out signed selfies when he gets to 100 followers on Twitter.
Yeah, at Daredevil Dota. I'm actually doing a signed selfie to one of
Oh,
my viewers, to one of my followers.
Terrible. Anyway, that
It's
was
gonna
like
be the one
that was a
outside Centrelink.
that was a brief 60-minute, 1 hour conversation about the patch and other things. Next 5 minutes going into the match, Nox versus Fable. Thanks guys for coming on and entertaining everybody.